We have made it to the most important stretch of the regular season here for the Miami Marlins, as today we've got a 3-game set on the road against the New York Mets, who we've been competing with for the National League East title all season long. The Mets have made up some ground on us these last couple of weeks, and we're only 1.5 ahead of them as we gear up for our final regular season series against them with 3 games on the road at Citi Field. We've been very inconsistent over the last few weeks with some bad losses in there. That's largely because we've gotten hit hard by the injury bug. Bo Bichette, Woody Landry, and Luis Robert are all on the 10-day injured list. Bichette in particular is the big one because he will likely miss the start, if not all of the postseason, with a broken arm. So not having him for the rest of the regular season and beyond is really going to suck. Along with Landry and Robert getting hurt, we've had to call upon some of the younger guys in the minor leagues to have key roles for us in our very important regular season games. Guys like James Wood and Ariel Amador have had to come up to the big league level and produce for us. Now, those guys haven't played a whole lot yet since most of those injuries just happened, but point remains. The main reason why we've been inconsistent, though, really is the pitching. We seemingly win every start that Sandy Alcantara or Edward Cabrera pitch in, and it feels like we lose every game where one of them does not start. Here against the Mets, we've got Edward Cabrera on the mound in Game 1, but we will not have access to Sandy Alcantara. Since this series is so important and will likely dictate the rest of the National League East race, this will be the only series we go through today. I really wanted to put an emphasis onto these 3 games because they are very, very important. It's not like I'm only doing 3 games here because I have to work on the Dragons draft and that takes a lot of extra time. No, definitely not. But in all seriousness, I do want to really highlight these 3 games because they are pivotal. We've got Edward Cabrera, the Cy Young favorite, on the mound. Sandy Alcantara is in second, right behind him. Good to see Sandy getting some well-deserved respect. These 2 guys are currently first and second in the National League in pitching war, and it's not really all that close. Again, we will not have access to Sandy Alcantara for this series against the Mets, but we do have Edward Cabrera on the mound, who's been on fire as of recent. Over his last 3 starts, he has been ridiculously good, going 22 innings, only allowing 1 run. There's a reason why he is the National League Cy Young frontrunner, and at this point, he's been playing at this level for 2 years in a row, and I think it's fair to call him the best pitcher in baseball. So let's get this series underway. 3 games on the road at Citi Field against the New York Mets. The Marlins currently lead the National League East by 1.5 games. The Marlins have never won the division in their team's nearly 35-year history, and we're looking to change that this year. And performing well in this series will really set us up well for the final few weeks of the regular season. Obviously, the lineup looks quite a bit different with some of our stars out as we take a look at Max Butterbaugh, who will be starting for the Mets today. The Mets pitching rotation is very young. They don't have the highest talent here, but they've got a lot of young guys who have improved throughout the year, Butterbaugh in particular, as he faces off against Brian De La Cruz, who's really found a home at the top of the order for the Marlins. He hits this one high and deep to the track and right, but it is caught. That ball does not quite have enough carry to go over what is a pretty short fence out in right field. 2 away here for Alec Bohm, hitting in the 3-hole today. He'll take a walk on the high slider, so the Marlins get themselves a base runner. That'll bring up the rookie, Isaac Stu, the comfortable front runner for the National League Rookie of the Year. Hits this one into the opposite field, and it goes off the wall. Bohm was slow to get to third. He will make it safe thanks to a bad throw. It's a double for the rookie Stu, and now the Marlins have quite the opportunity to get some early damage done with 2 runners in scoring position. A base hit here for Jesus Sanchez scores 2, and unfortunately it looks like he's just going to pop it up. Lindor under it, and he will make the grab. So the Marlins get 2 guys in scoring position, and they do nothing with it. For a team who is very unclutch with runners on base, this comes to no surprise. Let's take a look at Edward Cabrera, the heavy favorite for the National League Cy Young. His is his 31st start of the year, and he just needs to get through 1 full inning today, and he will surpass his career high in innings pitched. That mark is currently at 200 on the dot, which he got last season, as he strikes out the leadoff man, Brandon Nimmo, on the 4-seam fastball. Good start for Cabrera, looking to retire the side as he faces off against Stephen Kwan. He pops this one up into foul territory. The rookie Isaac Stu tracks it down. He will make the play. So Cabrera retires the side here in the first inning. Pretty good start for the Cy Young frontrunner. We'll see if the Marlins can get some more base runners here in the second and possibly do some damage. Nick Fortes is up. Good to have him healthy and back in the lineup, but he swings and misses at the inside fastball. Nice pitch by Butterball. That'll bring up the shortstop, Ariel Amador, who goes down looking. Amador playing in just his second career big league game. He went 1 for 3 in his first. As we go bottom 2, Brett Beatty goes down looking on the high fastball. Does not seem to really like the call. Good pitch by Cabrera, who now faces off against Austin Meadows. He hits this one sharply into center field. Kevin Alcantara chasing after it, and he will make the play at the warning track. Good start for Edward Cabrera, 6 up, 6 down, as it remains scoreless going into the third. Speaking of Kevin Alcantara, he leads things off, and he is swinging in the dirt at the low fastball. Not the pitch you want to swing at. Brian De La Cruz now rips it up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. And so the Marlins get a runner aboard here with 1 away. The Marlins offense started off strong with some early base runners. They've been quiet since the first inning, but hopefully this can be a sign of things to come. De La Cruz looks to steal second. The throw from Alvarez is just barely not in time. So De La Cruz is in scoring position, and of course Jazz Chisholm has a very high clutch rating. So hopefully that can come into effect, and it sure does as he rips a single into right. De La Cruz is going to hold up at third. I think he would have been out by about a mile. And so Miami now has runners on the corners with 1 away. Obviously, they really struggle with guys on, but thankfully Alec Boehm delivers. Nimmo's slow to get to the ball, so Jazz Chisholm's going to head to third. A ballsy decision by Jazz Chisholm to round second. He saw that Nimmo was slowly getting to the ball, and he takes advantage. Run scores, it's now 1-0. Here's Stu with a big swing and a miss. He wanted to crush that pitch out of the park. Butterball heavily relying on his off-speed stuff as the count is full for Stu. And he draws a walk. Oh, God, you know what that means. The bases are loaded. Surely this won't end well. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, who had a big at-bat in the first inning. Did not come up clutch. And again, Butterball too reliant on the breaking ball. It seems like he's kind of lost control. And Sanchez is ahead 3-1. Very well could draw a walk to score on a run, but instead he chases a 12-6 curve out of the zone. He saw a pitch that he could crush, but he got fooled. Full count, another outside pitch as it's a liner over to Josh Naylor. Sanchez was a little bit too aggressive there. I think he could have gotten a walk, but unfortunately he wanted to play hero ball. So now there's 2 away here for Jacob Berry, who's been really solid since the All-Star break, 1-2. And he goes down looking on the fastball. Sanchez was too aggressive. Berry was too conservative. The Marlins score 1, but they leave the bases loaded. Let's go bottom 3. It's Francisco Alvarez who strikes out on the fastball. These Mets batters are really having trouble just putting the bat to the ball, period. Omar Cinco goes down looking. 96 is called on the fastball for Cabrera. Now against the second baseman, Thairo Estrada, the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Cabrera retires the side. He actually strikes out the side, and he makes a full way through the lineup without allowing any base runners. 3 perfect innings so far for the NL Cy Young frontrunner as we move into the fourth. Kevin Alcantara rips his pitch into the gap. He gets a slider up and away in the zone, and he capitalizes, going 108 off the bat, as that'll be a double for Alcantara. And the Marlins have a runner in scoring position. That'll bring us to the top of the order. And Brian De La Cruz crushes this one into left field. Flips the bat. No doubt about it. 2-run shot for Brian De La Cruz. And the Marlins lead at 3-0. His 26th home run of the year. As I mentioned in the last inning, Butterball has been very reliant on the off-speed stuff. His control has been very inconsistent throughout today. And during this at-bat, he was serving De La Cruz meatballs like he works for an Italian restaurant, which I guess, to be fair, since this is in Queens, New York, there probably are a lot of Italian restaurants. What a swing for De La Cruz. Also a sick bat flip as well. And so the Marlins lead at 3-0. A big home run for Brian De La Cruz as Jazz Chisholm strikes out. And Butterball makes it through the fourth, but he allows 2 off of a big home run for De La Cruz. Let's go bottom 4. Cabrera still with a perfect game through the first few innings as Nimmo hits it up the middle and Chisholm makes the play. Nimmo fooled by the inside fastball, and Cabrera continues to dominate. Now against Lindor. Swing and a miss on the circle change. That'll bring us to the number 3 hitter, Steven Kwan. If you're looking for somebody to end the hitless drought, he's your guy. Behind 1 and 2, though, and he hits this one sharply to first. Isaac Stu with the play, and Edward Cabrera is through 4 perfect. I don't want to really jinx him, but he's looking unbelievable so far as we move into the 5th with a pitching change for the Mets. Mason Miller comes into the game. He's been pedestrian this year with an ERA in the 5s as Isaac Stu rips it up the middle. He has reached base now on all 3 of his plate appearances today with a double, a walk, and now a single. 2 away and a full count now for Jacob Berry, and he's going to hit this one solidly into left. It should be caught near the track, and it is. So Miller gets through the 5th without too much harm done as we go bottom 5. Josh Naylor strikes out on the curveball. Good pitch by Cabrera, who still just looks dialed in the zone. Still no base runners today for the Mets, as that'll bring us to Austin Meadows, the 1-2. Swing and a miss! He gets fooled by the outside sinker. 5 perfect innings for Edward Cabrera. He continues to cement himself as the best pitcher in baseball. Let's go top 6. Nick Fortes leads things off, and Fortes hits this one high and deep in a right center. Back at the track, at the wall, it's gone! Solo home run for Nick Fortes, his 9th of the year, and the Marlins lead 4-0. Fortes' power has certainly taken a step down compared to seasons 2 and 3, but it's good to see him getting one over the fence there. Miller looks to respond as he gets Kevin Alcantara to strike out on the curveball. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz, who homered in his last at-bat. Count is full. And De La Cruz hits this one into the gap. His 3rd hit of the game. And he's looking for extra bases as it will one-hop off the wall for a double. De La Cruz now a triple shy of the cycle. That's not going to be easy, but he will get at least one more at-bat to potentially do it. And now in scoring position, that'll bring up Jazz Chisholm with a full count here at 3-2. Chisholm pops it up. This one is high and pretty deep in a left field. Not deep enough, though, as it will be caught. Not a bad inning. Nick Fortes goes yard, and the Marlins add to their lead as it's now 4-0. Let's go bottom 6. Edward Cabrera still yet to have allowed a base runner so far as he faces off against Alvarez, who strikes out on the low slider. Nice pitch by Cabrera for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us to Omar Cinco, the designated hitter, only hitting 184 this year. He goes down on the fastball. That was a full count. Cabrera wanted to keep it in the strike zone. He knows he has a perfect game on the line. Now against Estrada, full count. Flies it into right. This one could drop. It's going to be close. And Sanchez comes down with it. 6 perfect innings for Edward Cabrera. He's made it through the Mets lineup twice without allowing a single base runner. Can he do it one more time and look to make history for the Marlins as we go top 7? Isaac Stu hits it into right field. He has now reached base on all 4 plate appearances today. Very impressive work from the NL Rookie of the Year favorite. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, who's had a rough day, 0 for 3 with runners on base. But he's going to rip this one into the left center gap. 4 extra bases. Isaac Stu on his high horse. He will head home. Slow throw to the cutoff man Lindor. The throw to the plate is in time. They got him. I thought Isaac Stu was going to be clearly safe, but the Mets throw him out, and Sanchez's double will not drive in a run. That'll bring up Jacob Berry now. Count is 1-2, and he's going to sky this one into center field. It goes awfully high. Nimmo is under it, and he will make the play. So the Marlins are unable to add any runs here in the top of the 7th. As we go to the bottom half of the inning with the top portion of the order up for the Mets, we'll start with Nimmo. The count is 2-2. That pitch in the zone, but it's called a ball. And so now the count is full here at 3-2. Pitch on its way from Cabrera. Ball 4. The perfect game is dead. The no-hitter is still alive, but that really sucks because that should have been a called strike 3 on the previous pitch. Lindor will then ground into a double play, so Nimmo's time on base ends up being pretty short-lived after all. 2 away now for Steven Kwan. 2-1 pitch, and Kwan grounds it to short. Amador fields it cleanly, and he makes the throw. The perfect game is dead, but the no-hitter is still intact with 2 innings to go for Edward Cabrera, and he really should still have the perfect game, again, if not for a really bad call, as we go top 8. Lewis Head is in the game. Edward Cabrera has been receiving head from the Mets lineup all night tonight, the way he's been pitching, as James Wood comes off the bench with a big hit, coming 115 off the bat. James Wood has not put it together in his major league career, but he has the physical tools. That's why the Marlins traded for him. Ariel Amador up the middle with a single, his second career big league hit. And so the youngsters are aboard here for Miami. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz. 3-1, De La Cruz into the gap. Remember, he's a triple shy of the cycle, and he's got a chance to get it. Wood will score. Amador looks to join. De La Cruz heads for third, and now he's in a pickle. He was hoping the second baseman, Estrada, would not throw to third base, and it backfires. Still a 2-run double to make it 6-0, but now he's not going to get the cycle. Bottom 8, Cabrera 6 outs away from the no-hitter. Make it 5. Beatty flies out to left, and it's caught by Jacob Berry for out number 1. Cabrera now with a no-hitter through 7 1/3. That'll bring up Josh Naylor. 1-2 pitch. And that's close. It looked like it might have been in the zone, but he doesn't get the call. Count is 2-2 now. And he goes down looking on the fastball. That pitch also right on the edge, but Cabrera does get the call. 4 outs away from the no-hitter. Austin Meadows now. That was close. It's just barely foul. Cabrera dodges a major bullet. Meadows is now behind 1-2. Cabrera going to look to get him on the outside fastball, and he does! So Edward Cabrera retires the side here in the 8th, and he's 1 inning away from completing a no-hitter / a Mickey Mouse perfect game. Let's go to the 9th inning now. Aroldis Martinez comes in off the bench for the Marlins, replacing Alec Boehm, who's had a great game, but he will strike out on the slider. Jesus Sanchez is now up with 2 away. Sanchez, of course, coming off a double in his last plate appearance, and he swings at a slider that he absolutely should not have swung at. Let's go bottom 9. Edward Cabrera, he looks locked and loaded in the dugout as he grabs his glove, looking to get just the 3rd complete game of his career. Obviously, the stakes are a little bit different here since, A, this is such an important regular season game, and B, he is a no-hitter as he strikes out Francisco Alvarez, and he's now 2 outs away from the no-no. That'll bring up Omar Cinco, who's ahead 2-1. Tough pitch to lay off. Walks are fine for the no-hitter, but obviously you don't want to allow too many base runners. 3-1 now, grounded to first. Isaac Stu's throw is offline! It's going to be a throwing error against Stu. Now the no-hitter is still intact because that is an error, but imagine if Cabrera still had the perfect game, and that's how he lost it. So the Mets now get their just 2nd base runner the entire game. Cabrera at this point is pretty much out of gas as he faces off against Estrada. Puts it on the ground. This could do it. Stu to Amador. Back to Stu. No-hitter for Edward Cabrera. What a moment here in Queens as the Marlins win it 6-0 with just their 7th no-hitter in team history. And it's Edward Cabrera who goes the entire way, getting the job done. What an unbelievable pitching performance here from Edward Cabrera. His Cy Young moment, if you will. And you could argue he should have gotten the perfect game if not for a bad call with the Brandon Nimmo walk back in the 7th. And if that is called a strike 3, then maybe Isaac Stu's a little bit more focused in the 9th inning, and that throwing error doesn't happen. We had some guys perform really well on offense. De La Cruz, 4 hits and a homer. Boehm had 3 hits. Stu had 3 hits. Fortes went deep. But obviously the story of this game was not the offense. It was Edward Cabrera who throws a no-hitter, allowing just 2 base runners off of a walk that should have been a strikeout, and then a throwing error. 13 strikeouts thrown by Cabrera. The Mets just could not put the bat to the ball, and it's not even like they were hitting for hard contact. Their offense showed nothing the entire game. What a performance here from Edward Cabrera, cementing himself as the Cy Young winner, unless he just forgets how to pitch his final 4 starts. His pitching WAR is now higher than Sandy Alcantara. Obviously, he is still in first place in the Cy Young, although I think I'm probably going to stop talking about him in the Cy Young discussion and move over to the MVP talks. That's how good he has been, legitimately at an MVP level for a pitcher. So that'll bring us into the second game of the series. We're going to simcast this one, and then we're going to play the last one. Tyrell Berry on the mound against former Marlins prospect Jake Eder. Look at Alvarez. He gets a base hit, as does Cinco. The Mets can, in fact, hit the ball, just not against Edward Cabrera. Not a lot of offense so far, but the Mets do get one off of a double by Steven Kwan, and it's 1-0. The Mets are going to load the bases, and we're going to take Tyrell Berry out of the game. I don't really trust him in this situation, and so Griffin Jax will get us out of the jam. It still remains 1-0. The offense is doing absolutely nothing. Andres Vina replaces Jax. He gets an out as we go to the 6th. Still nothing from the offense. The Mets are at least getting base runners, whereas we aren't. We only have 2 hits the entire game. Our offense hasn't been much better than the Mets was in Game 1. We're going to hop in here now in the 8th inning, trailing 1-0, with Jake Eder still on the mound as Aurelvis Martinez comes in off the bench. Martinez pops this one up into right center, and that one's going to drop. Just the 3rd hit of the game for the Marlins. He didn't exactly hit it well, but it does the job. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz, who had 4 hits in the first game of this series. And De La Cruz hits this one into the right field corner. That's going to drop for the 4th hit of the game as it goes off the wall. Martinez will hold up at 3rd, and the Mets hold on to their lead. But it is a big double for De La Cruz. The Marlins have 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. Got to get at least one of these guys in. Chisholm pops it into left, and it is going to be caught. Obviously, we're not going to send the runner. So now the Marlins are going to need a base hit here from Alec Bohm. Count is 2-2. Eder at 100 pitches on the night. And Bohm grounds it over to short. Lindor fields it, looks to make the play. And now Jake Eder has thrown 8 scoreless innings tonight as the Marlins are still not on the board. And we go bottom 8. Camilo Doval comes in for the Marlins. The bullpen has pitched out of their minds today. It'd be a real shame if we lost such a great performance from them. Austin Meadows goes down looking on the fastball. Omar Cinco strikes out on the slider. And Thairo Estrada goes down on the sinker. Camilo Doval strikes out the side using all 3 of his pitches as we go to the 9th inning. They're going to show Jake Eder pick up his glove in the dugout, but he will not return to the game. Instead, it's time to blare your trumpets. Edwin Diaz is in for the save. Interesting decision here by the Mets to take Jake Eder out of the game after throwing 8 scoreless innings. They don't trust him to have another dominant inning. So Diaz is in, 35 of 41 on save ops this year, 2.64 ERA for the multiple-time All-Star and multiple-time reliever of the year. He'll start with Isaac Stu, who jams an inside slider over to Lindor, and that's going to be out number 1. Isaac Stu did not have quite as good of a game today as he had in Game 1. That'll bring up Gennaro Miller coming in off the bench, full count. This one clocks in at 101 as he pops it in the left, and it will be caught for the 2nd out. Let's see if the Mets can finish off the job. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez. Count is even at 2-2. And Sanchez rips this one up the middle. Estrada cannot make the play, and the game stays alive. It's a base hit for Jesus Sanchez, and the Marlins have the tying run on base and the potential winning run at the plate. It's the first baseman, Ryan Poles, with a liner to short, and Lindor makes the play. The Mets even the series. They win at 1-0. The story of this series so far has been brilliant pitching performances. The Mets with a big answer after the no-hitter from Edward Cabrera last night as they get 8 scoreless out of Jake Eder. The offense was phenomenal last night. Today, not so much. The Mets have just 1 run through the first 2 games. Our pitching was fantastic, but it didn't matter because the offense did jack diddly squat. Only 5 hits today for the Marlins. Only 1 extra base hit. Tyrell Berry didn't pitch great. He allowed 7 hits in under 4 innings, but the bullpen was phenomenal. Jax, Vina, Lopez, and Doval, they all did great. The Mets lineup has been horrible in the 2 games against us, although to be fair, they were a little better today than yesterday. Not that that says a whole lot. And that's going to bring us into a pivotal Game 3. We know we have to win this regular season series here against the Mets, and it comes down to this matchup here with Jeffrey Springs on the mound against Daniel Lynch, a couple of lefties. This game is going to be nationally televised as the MLB's Game of the Week. It's an interesting time because this is the middle of the afternoon, 1 o'clock on a Sunday in September, where everybody is probably going to be watching football. But for the baseball sickos out there, The Marlins and the Mets are battling it out here to wrap up their final regular season matchup. If the Mets win, they will be within half a game of us. If we win, we'll take a 2.5 game lead with under 3 weeks to go in the regular season. Here's a look at both lineups. Again, pretty much regular starters across the board as we take a look at the lefty Daniel Lynch, who's been one of the most consistent starters for this Mets pitching staff. 3.19 ERA, 1.29 whip. He's been really solid across the board, and the Mets are hoping for a good day out of him. The Marlins hit righties better than they do lefties, but don't tell that to Brian De La Cruz. Flips the bat with a solo shot to kick off the game. De La Cruz continues to dominate here in this series against the Mets, his 27th homer of the year. He obviously had 4 hits in the first game, including a dinger. He had the only extra base hit in game 2, and now he goes yard here. The offense is going to keep on coming, though. Alec Bohm into the corner. That one could go for extra bases. Bohm is going to slide safely at second. Where was all of this in game 2? We had no offense then, and now all of a sudden here in game 3, it's like we're an entirely new team. Runner on second, one away here for Isaac Stu. Hits this one into right field. That's going to drop. Bohm stayed on second, expecting it to be caught. So he's just making it over to third. And so now there's runners on the corners. And a big opportunity here for Jesus Sanchez. A little lefty-on-lefty crime as he finds himself behind 1 and 2. And Sanchez is going to pop this one into left field. It should be caught. And it will. Bohm will look to tag up. Throw to the plate is going to be close. And it's a little bit offline. The tag is not in time. Alec Bohm scores off of the Jesus Sanchez sacrifice, and it's 2-0. Let's go to the bottom of the first. Take a look at Jeffrey Springs, who's had a solid season. 3.59 ERA, 1.20 whip. The Mets with some different faces in the lineup today, being that they're facing a lefty, and that includes Manuel Margot, who will go down on the fastball. Francisco Lindor, the switch-hitting shortstop, now lines this one into right field. James Wood cannot make the play. This one's going to roll all the way to the wall. No-hitter for Springs. Lindor is going to look to leg this one out into a triple, and the throw from Berry is not in time. The Mets have a runner 90 feet away from home. Francisco Lindor with just his second triple of the year. Stephen Kwan with a grounder to second. Berry will look to make the play. That'll score the run, however. And so both teams score here in the first inning, coming off of the game where nobody could hit, and it's already 2-1. That'll bring up Brett Beatty, lefty on lefty, and he goes down looking on the slider. So the Marlins get 2 to start the game. The Mets respond with one of their own as we go into the second. Ariel Amador getting the start once again here at shortstop as he rips this one down the left field line, and fair. That one will bounce off the wall. Amador looking for his first career extra base hit as the young shortstop is in with a double. Good to see Amador hitting the ball pretty well so far in his big league career as he has a hit in each of his first 3 games. Wood hits this one sharply into left. Amador quickly around third looking to score. The throw is well offline and the Marlins lead 3-1. James Wood hasn't been with the big league team for too long, but I've honestly been pretty impressed with him. Brian De La Cruz now sends this one high and deep into center. Back at the track, at the wall, it's gone. Another home run for Brian De La Cruz, his 28th of the year, his 3rd of this series, and his 2nd of today's ball game as the Marlins lead at 5-1. Brian De La Cruz is just playing at another level. I think I've gotten a hit with him in the last 7 at-bats I've used him, and that includes 3 dingers. Jazz Chisholm up now for the Marlins, leading 5-1 as it's a comebacker up the middle. And Daniel Lynch makes a nice play to prevent a base hit. Lynch is obviously a lot of base runners so far. He's just got to keep guys off because he has not looked too good. Alec Bohm is now up with 2 away, and he hits this one sharply into the gap, and the inning will stay alive for a little bit longer. The Marlins offense was so horrific in the second game of this series, yet today the offense looks unbelievable. It's weird in baseball how things change so quickly, but that's why baseball's fun. So Bohm is in scoring position now. That'll bring up Isaac Stu, who had a hit in his last at-bat, and he's going to get another one. Sharply down the line. Bohm will score with no problem. That one coming in at 113 off the bat, and Stu retreats back to first with a very hard-hit RBI single, and the Marlins lead at 6-1 here in just the second inning. We'll go bottom 2. Springs looking good as he faces off against Moncada with a grounder to first. And Jeffrey Springs' second inning goes a lot smoother than Lynch's as he retires the side, and the Marlins lead 6-1. Into the third, Daniel Lynch just trying to get some outs together. Here's Fortes with a grounder to second. What a play by the Mets to get the out. Great defensive play for New York. That'll bring up Jacob Berry now. Count is 2-2. And Berry launches it into straightaway center field. Flips the bat. The Marlins look unstoppable right now. They've homered in each of the first 3 innings today. Berry now with a career-high 15th homer of the year, going 420 feet into dead center. And that's going to knock Daniel Lynch out of the game. 2 1/3 innings, 7 runs allowed. Not good. He'll be replaced by the righty Dominic Hamill, who faces off against Wood with a full count. And he hits this one sharply into the opposite field, but it will be caught. The Marlins add another run here in the top of the third with a homer from Berry, and it's 7-1. The Mets looking to dig into this lead, and this is a good start. Alex Ramirez into left center. That one is gone. The Big Apple rises up as the Mets hit their first home run of the series, and it's 7-2. Ramirez with his 7th of the year. 2 away now for Francisco Lindor, and he strikes out. So both teams each homer in the third inning, and the deficit stays at 5 as it remains 7-2. Let's go into the fourth inning now. 2 away for Bohm. He hits this one into right field, and the hits are just going to keep on coming. 10 hits in less than 4 innings, and this is coming off a game where they had 5 hits in its entirety. After a walk, it's Sanchez with 2 away, pops it up. Another opportunity where the Marlins had base runners, and they do nothing with them. At least they're up by 5. Otherwise, that would be really, really embarrassing. Bottom 4, Stephen Kwan leads it off, and he crushes it into right center. And so the Mets are going to continue to try to chip away at this lead as it's now 7-3. Kwan with just his 10th home run of the year, not exactly known for his power, but he sends that ball 441 feet. 2 away now for Thairo Estrada. He launches this one into center. What is happening? The New York Mets have brought it within 3, and we've got ourselves a ball game. The Marlins with 3 early homers today, and the Mets get 3 homers of their own. It's now 7-4. Estrada with his 9th on the campaign. So Jeffrey Springs is starting to get rocked a little bit. He's pitching like it's a home run derby. He will get Moncada to ground out to second. Berry should be able to make the play, and he does. 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 4 hits allowed, 3 of which have been dingers. 2 in this inning from Kwan and Estrada as it's 7-4 going into the 5th inning. Dominic Hamill has done a great job out of the bullpen. Since he's come in, the Marlins offense has done nothing. And sure enough, here is Nick Fortes. He goes down chasing a curveball. That'll bring up Adael Amador, who doubled and scored in his first at-bat. He swings and misses at the inside curveball. He swung like after the ball was in the catcher's glove, and that pitch was well inside. But a rookie mistake there from the young shortstop as we go into the bottom of the 5th. The trusty veteran Reynaldo Lopez comes into the game for the Marlins. 2.54 ERA in 39 innings of work this year. He's been really steady, per usual, as Manuel Margot grounds it over to Berry. Quick 1-2-3 inning. No damage done by the Mets as it remains 7-4, and we travel into the 6th. New York isn't out of it. Even though they only have 4 hits, the Marlins have to keep the pedal on the metal. Here's James Wood. He goes down on a vicious curveball. Hamill is relying on the off-speed stuff as well. Clearly, the Mets have a type, and it's been working for Hamill as he faces now against Brian De La Cruz, who strikes out on the curveball. He even gets De La Cruz, who has been red hot in this series against the Mets. Full count now for Jazz Chisholm. He draws a walk. Another off-speed pitch, but it's outside. Chisholm holds, and so he is now aboard. That'll bring up Alec Bohm, who's had a very good game. He's 3 for 3 today, looking to keep it going with a full count. Can he get his 4th hit of the afternoon? No, but he draws a walk. That works too. 2 runners on base, 2 away. What an opportunity here for the rookie, Isaac Stu, who's also 3 for 3. And he also finds himself ahead in the count, 3-1. But he's going to pop this one up. That was a good pitch to hit, a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. And I guess he just mistimed it. A fly out into left and 2 more runners left on base as it remains 7-4. The rookie Andres Vina comes in for his third big league appearance. So far, so good. 2 1/3 scoreless innings for last year's first-round pick, hailing from Venezuela. But Francisco Lindor looks to give him a warm welcome, launching it into right as it goes off the second deck. And it's now 7-5. Lindor, home run number 19 on the year. The Mets have now gone deep 4 times today, and they bring the lead within 2. New York is continuing to hang around. They're just trying to make this lead closer and closer. Here's Kwan going for the bunt. Bohm charging after it. Barehanded throw. Not in time. That was a good effort by Alec Bohm, but it goes for an infield single. And now the potential tying run is at the plate. It's Brett Baty who strikes out on the fastball. I'm very curious to see if Vina gets out of this inning. I really want to see how he responds to adversity as he gets Naylor to go down looking. He thought that was ball 4. Doesn't get the call. Can he finish it off? No, it doesn't look like he will because Thairo Estrada rips this one into the gap. That should score the run. An RBI double for Estrada, and it is now 7-6 with the tying run in scoring position. Remember when the Marlins were up 7-1? Yeah, that was fun. So Vina will be taken out of the game. He'll be replaced by Griffin Jax, who's been pretty up and down since being acquired at the deadline from Minnesota with Johan Duran. As Yoan Moncada hits it solid into center. Sanchez after it. He'll make the play. The Mets add 2 more, though, and they are only down by 1 right back into the thick of things. We've got ourselves a ball game as we go into the 7th. The lefty, Caleb Ferguson, is in for the Mets. 2.6 ERA on the season. He's been quite solid, and we'll see if he can keep the Marlins offense struggling. They've done nothing since the 3rd inning. Jesus Sanchez strikes out on the fastball, lefty on lefty. Now Gennaro Miller coming into the game off the bench, and he strikes out as well. Ferguson making quick work of the lineup as we go bottom 7. Samuel Basallo, the catcher, into center field. Sanchez cannot make the play. It'll one-hop off the wall, and that'll go for a double. The offensive outpour continues for the New York Mets, and they're continuing to really play well these last few innings. Runner on third for Margot. Grounds it to second. Ha-Seong Kim in the game as a defensive substitution. He'll make the throw to first. But Basallo will score, and the Mets tie it at 7. The Marlins led this game 7-1, and their lead is now evaporated. The Mets with 6 unanswered to tie, and they're going to add more runners. Lindor draws a walk. That'll lead to a pitching change. It's time for Paul Sewald to pitch. 2.54 ERA on the year as he faces off against Stephen Kwan, who's behind 1-2. And they call that a ball. That pitch was in the strike zone. Doesn't get the call, and sure enough, very next pitch, Kwan with a single into center field. Good job by Sanchez to angle it to where the ball doesn't get by him. And so now there's runners on the corners and 2 away. A huge opportunity here for Brett Baty. And Baty launches this one into center. Sanchez can only watch it fly. The Mets take the lead 10-7. The Mets had 1 run in the first 2 games of this series, and now they've exploded for 10. The Marlins led 7-1, let me remind you, and now they trail 10-7. Things change very quickly in baseball. Baty with his 31st homer of the year. Following at bat is Josh Naylor. He pops this one up into the shallow outfield. Amador makes the play. Big inning vote for the Mets. They tie it, and then they get the lead with a 3-run blast from Brett Baty. New York is now in position to win this game and this series with Michael King coming into the game here in the 8th. He'll face off against Tadael Amador, who gets hit, checks his swing. It's called strike 3. I looked at the replay. He definitely did not go around. That's another bad call. James Wood is up with 1 away, and he goes down on the slider. That pitch was down the middle. He wanted to crush that thing, and unfortunately he's unable to. We'll go bottom 8. Camilo Doval is in for the Marlins, 4.68 ERA on the year. The Mets offense has completely ignited, and Doval's going to look to set the fire out, and he does, retiring the side as Samuel Basallo strikes out, and we go to the 9th. Blare your trumpets once again. Edwin Diaz is in for another save. The Mets lead by 3, and we'll see if he can finish off the job and get the series win for New York. Jazz Chisholm, grounder into right field. Good start to the inning as Chisholm is aboard with a base hit. So the Marlins get 1 runner on, but they're going to need some more. They haven't scored since the 3rd inning. Alec Bohm is up next for the Marlins. He's reached base in every plate appearance today until now. strikes out on the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Big out for Diaz and the Mets. Isaac Stu now, 1-2. Checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. The Marlins are trying to be aggressive here late, and it's backfiring. It'll come down to Jesus Sanchez, and he strikes out on the fastball, coming in at 102. The Mets win this game 10-7, and they end up winning the series to bring the division deficit within half a game. So the Marlins travel out to Citi Field, and they only take 1 out of 3 games, with all 3 games being very different. From a no-hitter to a 6-run comeback, we have had some interesting games within this series, to say the least. So the offense, on one hand, I feel like they're not to blame because 7 runs should be enough to win. But on the other hand, I feel like they are a little bit to blame because we did nothing after the 3rd inning. Regardless, I think most of the blame belongs on the pitching. Jeffrey Springs couldn't keep the ball in the ballpark, and then the bullpen really struggled. Vina, Jackson, Sewald, all allowing big hits. The Mets offense caught fire. They scored 1 run in the first 2 games. Daniel Lynch had a horrible start, and then their bullpen was unbelievable, allowing just 3 hits after Lynch was taken out of the game, a night and day difference. So we only take 1. The first game we win with an Edward Cabrera no-hitter. Then we get shut out, losing 1-0, and then we choke a 7-1 lead to lose 10-7. Certainly one of the more interesting regular season series as you'll find, and again, the Mets are only back by half a game with just 4 series left to go. We've got the Nationals, the Braves, the Reds, and the Braves again. The Nats and the Reds are not particularly good. Ideally, we win 4 out of those 6 games, and then with Atlanta, those guys are right on the edge of the wild card picture. They're going to be giving it their all down the stretch, and I think those games could be challenging, especially the series on the road. The plan is for us to go through the final 4 series of the regular season in the next episode. Let's find out if the Marlins can finally win the division for the first time in team history. I hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure to leave a like for Edward Cabrera because he is him. Peace out.